listenaminute.com. School. Most kids say they don't like school. They say their subjects are boring or there's too much homework. In fact, school is one of the best times of a person's life. Think about it. The hours are short, usually just 6 hours a day. You have the opportunity to learn lots of really useful stuff. You get to do science experiments, learn a musical instrument, and play sports. On top of that, you get loads of holidays. Oh, I nearly forgot. You also get to see and play with your friends 5 days a week. What is there not to like? Okay, school lunches are not the best in the world, but you can bring your own lunch. And yes, exams are stressful. But if you study, you'll do well in them. I'd love to go back to school. If I had another chance, I'd try my best in every subject.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
Right, Sandra. You wanted to see me to get some feedback on your group's proposal, the one you're submitting for the Geography Society field trip competition.
Uh-huh.
I've had a look through your proposal, and I think it's a really good choice.
Oh.
In fact, I only have a few things to say about it, but even in an outline document like this, you really have to be careful to avoid typos and problems with layout in the proposal, and even in the contents page. So read it through carefully before submitting it, okay?
Will do.
And I've made a few notes on the proposal about things which could have been better sequenced.
Okay.
As for the writing itself, I've annotated the proposal as and where I thought it could be improved. Generally speaking, I feel you've often used complex structures and long sentences for the sake of it, and as a consequence, although your paragraphing and inclusion of subheadings help, it's quite hard to follow your train of thought at times.
Oh.
So, cut them down a bit, can you?
Really?
Yes, and don't forget simple formatting like numbering.
Didn't I use page numbers?
I didn't mean that. Look, you've remembered to include headers and footers, which is good, but listing ideas clearly is important. Number them or use bullet points, which is even clearer. Then you'll focus the reader on your main points. I thought your suggestion to go to the Navajo Tribal Park was a very good idea.
No, I've always wanted to go there. My father was a great fan of cowboy films and the Wild West, so I was subjected to seeing all the epics, many of which were shot there.
Mm-hmm.
As a consequence, it feels very familiar to me, and it's awesome, both geographically and visually. So it's somewhere I've always wanted to visit. The subsequent research I did and the online photographs made me even keener.
Questions 1 to 8. Listen to the conversation between two friends. Complete multiple choices below. Circle the correct answer from choices A to D. So how was your holiday?
It was absolutely fantastic, but very expensive.
Where did you go?
I went to London. I saw so many wonderful things. I saw Buckingham Palace and the changing of the guard.
What's that?
Buckingham Palace is where the Queen of England lives. The changing of the guard is when they change the soldiers outside her home. It's beautiful. They wear red clothes with big black hats made from bears, and some of the men ride horses.
Wow! What else did you see?
I went to the British Museum. They have things from every country in the world.
That sounds expensive.
Not at all. All the big museums in England are free, and many of the small ones too. Even if you have to pay, it usually isn't much.
Did you try the local food?
Some of it. I had fish and chips, and I also tried the sweet food. My favourite was apple crumble. It is a sweet dish made with apples and it is crunchy on top.
Where did you stay?
I stayed in the University of London's Hall of Residence. In the summer, they let tourists stay there, and it's really cheap.
Track 21.
Okay, everyone. The first thing we have to decide is our topic. I mean, what exactly are we going to talk about? We know the course is art history, and the subject is Italian painting, but that's still too big. We have to choose a particular topic. What do you think, Mandy?
I think we should concentrate on a single painter.
But on the other hand, if we discuss more than one artist, it'll be easier to make comparisons and show the differences between them.
That's a good idea, Edward. It'll give us more to discuss.
Right. So the next thing is to decide which artists to look at. I think we should definitely include Michelangelo. You know, he painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in Rome. He's very famous. And what about Leonardo da Vinci? They were both great painters. What do you think, Beth?
They're okay, I suppose. But don't you think everyone else will choose them? How about Botticelli? His painting is very different from the other two.
I agree with Beth. Why don't we have Michelangelo and Botticelli?
I'm happy with that. Everyone else okay with it?
Track 22.
Right, guys. Let's have a look at what we're going to put in the slides. The first slide's going to be the introduction, isn't it? So I guess it should have a title. How about Michelangelo and Botticelli? A comparison.
Yeah. So we've got the title. Don't you think we should make a list of bullet points for each of the slides in the presentation?
Oh, yes, definitely. How many slides do we have to do?
Well, the presentation's 10 minutes long, so we should probably have a maximum of 6 slides. Remember that Beth's already got 2 slides about Botticelli.
Well, why don't we do 2 slides each? That'd be 8, including the introduction and the conclusion.
That sounds fair enough. Let's do that. So, who's going to do the rest of the slides?
I can start off with the introduction, and then I could do the conclusion and the summary at the end. What do you think?
Great! I'd like to talk about Michelangelo's paintings. I've done quite a lot of reading about them.
Fine. So I could do a couple of slides showing how Michelangelo and Botticelli are similar and how they're different.
Track 23.
We want the presentation to look as if it's been made by a team, don't we, Edward? I think we should have one design for all the slides. Do you agree?
Oh, yes, of course. We don't want a different color for each slide. Shall we design a slide now for the rest of the group to use?
Yes, let's do that. Let's have a look. This slide has the program icon on the title box. Shall we keep it there?
No, I don't think so. It hasn't got anything to do with the presentation. Let's take that off.
Fine. And I think we should keep the blue bullet points. They match the light blue title box. What do you think about putting images in each slide?
Oh, absolutely. I think we should put at least one image in each slide.
Good. We're agreed then. Let's send this slide to the others, shall we?
Track 24. Okay, everyone. I've put all our slides together so we can see if we're happy with the presentation. I think we need to check that we all agree with the order. There's nothing to decide about my slides, the introduction and the conclusion. Obviously, one of my slides goes at the beginning and the other one at the end. Edward's slides, comparing the two artists, will have to go after Beth's and Mandy's. What we need to decide is which artist should go first, Michelangelo or Botticelli.
Well, Michelangelo is more famous than Botticelli, isn't he? I mean, everyone's heard of him. Maybe he should go first. What do you think, Beth?
I'm not sure that just being famous is a good reason to put him first.
Okay, so isn't it sensible to put the artist who was born earlier first? Who was that? When was Michelangelo born?
In 1475.
And Botticelli?
In 1445.
So let's put Botticelli first and follow with Michelangelo.
Track 25. Section 3. You will hear 3 students talking to their tutor about the presentation they are planning. First, in the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 1 to 4. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4. Good morning, everyone. So, you're going to tell me about your presentation. First of all, what's your topic? Did you say you were going to talk about the uses of mobile phones?
Not exactly. We're actually going to explain the dangers of using mobile phones.
Ah, okay. That sounds interesting. What are you going to discuss exactly?
Well, we've planned to divide the presentation into 3 sections. We'll have an introduction explaining why we think it's important to understand the dangers of mobiles. Then, on the second slide, we'll have a list of the different types of danger. And then on the last slide, we're going to suggest ways of staying out of danger when you use a mobile.
Yes, we want to start by telling the audience that using a mobile phone can be dangerous, and then go into more detail in the next part.
Okay, but before you talk about the dangers of mobiles, I think you should mention the advantages. You could put that in your introduction. It balances up the argument a bit.
Oh, yes. I see what you mean. Right, we'll do that.
Before you hear the next part of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 5 to 7. Track 26. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 7. So, shall we have a look at your presentation? Did you bring it with you?
I've got it here on a memory stick. Can we show you on your computer?
Yes, that's fine. Let's have a look. Right. As you say, you're going to add the advantages of using mobile phones to the first slide. Good. Who's going to explain the second slide with all the dangers?
That's me. Do you think I've got enough detail?
Yes. I think there's plenty of information, but I think it's all a bit mixed up at the moment. I mean, you've got dangers like getting headaches in the same list as having car accidents and being robbed in the street. They're all different types of danger, aren't they? I think you should divide them into groups, maybe under separate titles like health, accidents, and security.
Oh, right. Yes, thank you. That'll make it much clearer to the audience. Okay.
Now, in the third slide, you can put your suggestions for staying away from each of these dangers under separate titles. Before you hear the rest of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 8 to 10. Track 27. Now listen and answer questions 8 to 10. Have you got any other questions?
Yes. The presentation should be for 10 minutes. Is that right?
Yes, but 10 minutes in total, including 3 minutes for questions. So you'll only talk for 7 minutes.
That's only 2 minutes each. We won't be able to say much in that time at all.
That's why you have to plan what you're going to say carefully and make sure you only include the most important information. For instance, you won't have time to give examples, but you could put some images on your slides that show examples without spending time talking about them.
Hey, that's a good idea. And the audience can look at them while we talk.
And another thing, make sure all the slides have the same style. You should get together and agree on one style for the whole presentation.
OK, we'll do that too. Thanks a lot for your help.
That is the end of section 3. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers. Track 30. 1.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm your student union representative and I'm here to tell you about student societies.
2.
Good morning, everyone. For the last 2 weeks, we've been looking at employment opportunities in industry, and in today's lecture, I'll be talking about working in a large corporation.
3.
Hello, my name's Annie and I'm the University Careers Officer. Today I'm going to talk about working outdoors.
4.
Is everyone ready? Okay, remember last week we discussed work in private industry? Well, this week's talk will cover employment opportunities in institutions of further education.
5. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you. I'm Angus MacDonald. I'm a police officer, and my topic today is job satisfaction. 6.
Good evening. It's good to see so many people here this cold night. OK, my lecture this evening will be about finding a job.
Track 31. 1.
Hi, my name's Adam. I'm your student union rep, and this evening I'm going to talk about the different clubs you can join here at the university.
2.
Hello, thank you all for coming today. For the last couple of weeks, we've been discussing how to get a job in private industry, and today's lecture is about working in a small company.
3.
Hello, my name's Annie and I'm the University Careers Officer. I've come in this evening to tell you about jobs that involve spending a lot of time outside.
4.
Good evening, everyone. Right, last week we talked about working in private education. Well, this week's talk will cover employment in universities.
5. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you. I'm Angus MacDonald. I'm a police officer, and today I'll be talking about job fulfillment. 6.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you. My topic for this evening will be how to find employment. I hope you'll find it useful.
Track 32.
My name's Alice and I work on a farm in the southeast of England. Mostly we grow fruit, but we also keep chickens, ducks and dairy cows. So we have to work outside quite a lot, even in the winter when it's cold and dark. That's the worst part of the job, really. You know, having to go out in the rain and snow to feed the animals. But the summer's totally different. I really enjoy being outdoors, helping the fruit pickers and loading the trucks. We deliver most of our fruit to supermarkets, but we also supply local shops with our milk, eggs and cheese. In fact, we produce so much cheese and fruit that we even sell them directly to the public in our farm shop.
Track 33.
I'm Wei Long. but my American friends call me Will. I'm a businessman in California. Before I came to the United States, I studied at a university in China. I graduated in information technology, but when I was young, even before I went to university, I worked in the family business, so my ambition has always been to earn a living through trade. After I graduated, I worked for my father for a few years to get some experience, and then I started my own small company. First, I set up an office in China, and then I opened another office in California. We sell computer parts from China because I know a lot of people in the computer industry there. I don't have any salesmen, but I have a receptionist to look after the office while I'm out on sales trips. I like being my own boss. I enjoy being able to make all the decisions myself. I mean, I sell most of my goods to large corporations, and I think I'd find it very difficult to work in a big company.
Track 34.
My name's Khalida. I'm a doctor in a busy hospital in London. My job is quite stressful because I work in the accident and emergency unit. Our hospital is the only one in the area with an A&E, so all the urgent cases come to us. Mostly we see people who have been in car crashes or had an accident at home. When people arrive at the unit, I have to see them first. I examine them to find out what's wrong and make sure we give them the right treatment. When we're sure the patients aren't in any serious danger, the nurses put all the information in their personal records and find them a bed if they're staying in hospital, or arrange for them to go home if they don't need to stay.
Track 35. Section 4. You will hear a woman talking to some students about her job. First, in the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 1 to 4. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to give a talk in this series of employment lectures. I'm here this evening to tell you about my job. I'm going to tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and what I hope to do in the future. OK, well, I'm a police officer. I've been in the police for just over 5 years, and part of my job is to give talks to students about police work. People often ask why I joined the police, so maybe I'll start there. I've always been interested in law and order, so I went to study law at university. But when I got there, I realised that I was more interested in the practical side of law than the theory. So I applied to work with the police force in my spare time. Then, as soon as I graduated, I was accepted for training.
Before you hear the next part of the talk, in the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 5 to 7. Track 36. Listen and answer questions 5 to 7.
As you know, our job is to protect the public from criminals and defend the law. So obviously, the police force has to work every day of the week, day and night. This means we're often at work when everyone else is relaxing with friends and family, and we can't always be around for special occasions like birthdays and New Year's Eve. On top of that, we have a lot of extra work at weekends, especially when there's a football match and the fans are out celebrating. So, our working hours are one disadvantage of police work. A lot of the time we have to work with the public to avoid problems, and we get special training for that. But we can't always prevent trouble. So, another disadvantage of the job is the danger. I mean, we know that some of the people we have to arrest will attack us.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 8 to 10. Track 37. Now listen and answer questions 8 to 10.
Now for the advantages. Well, one of the advantages is that police work is well paid. As I've said, it's a difficult job and police officers work hard for their pay. But there are many more advantages. For example, sometimes the work's fun, especially when we have to protect famous people from their own fans. I've met quite a lot of celebrities in my job, and I must say I enjoy seeing them close up and finding out what they're really like as people. But for me, the biggest advantage is the job satisfaction. Speaking for myself, I would say I get the most job satisfaction when I help someone, or solve a problem in a community. And in the future, I'd like to train to be a detective. I think I'd be good at that.
That is the end of section 4. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers.
Track 7. Unit 2. Listening. Exercise 3. Conversation 1.
Could you give me a contact number, please?
Sure. I'll give you my mobile. It's 07816 038 924.
Thanks. We'll let you know when the glasses are ready.
Track 8. Conversation 2.
How much is the flight to Madrid?
It's $349.
Do you have anything cheaper? Say $300?
I'm afraid not.
Track 9. Conversation 3.
How old are you, Maddie?
I'm 16.
And what date's your birthday?
October the 12th.
Good. So we'll be able to start the driving lessons in the second half of October.
Yes.
Track 10. Conversation 4.
Shall we see each other later in the coffee bar?
OK, what time shall we meet?
Can you get there by 4:30?
My maths class finishes at 4, so yes, that should be OK.
Track 11. Unit 2. Listening. Exercise 7.
Hello?
Hi, Clive, is that you?
Yes, hi Debbie.
Did you manage to see those candidates for our expedition?
Yes, I did, and there was an extra one who was quite a surprise. You know, he hadn't applied, and he just turned up out of the blue, so we haven't got any details for him.
Really? Tell me about him.
OK, and you can take some notes, then we'll see what we think.
Fine.
First, he's called Sanjay Dabashi.
OK, Sanjay is spelled S-A-N-J-A-Y, right?
Correct. And Dabashi is D-U-B-A-S-H-I.
D-U-B-A-S-H-I. Fine, thanks. I'm just getting that down. And did you find out how old he is?
Sure, he's round about our age, you know. Well, a couple of years older. He's 27. Quite a big man, quite muscular, impressive, with a big moustache.
And what does he do?
Well, actually, he just says he's an office worker, just one of those people with quite a routine job in an office.
Doesn't sound like he finds his job very interesting. Has he got any experience, do you know, of going off to remote places on foot?
Yes, he's been all over the place. He was telling me all about a trip he made in a Land Rover across Central Africa from one side to the other, which sounded pretty exciting and dangerous.
Great. I think it would be really interesting to cross Central Africa. I'd love to do that. Anything physical? I mean, where he actually had to walk instead of driving? Being so muscular, as you say.
I was coming to that. Last year, he went to Russia with some friends in their summer holidays, and they went up a mountain. Let's see, Mount Elbrus, it's called.
Wow, now that's really quite something. By the way, Elbrus is spelled E-L-B-R-O-S, isn't it?
Not quite. It's U-S.
Ah, OK. What qualifications does he have which would interest us? Has he done any sort of specialist training, for example?
Well, he's done a course in first aid, which may be pretty useful. If any of us get injured, he should know what to do.
Good. It might be useful to have someone who knows how to do first aid in case someone has an accident. Can he swim?
I didn't ask now you mention it. I forgot. But he did tell me he can hold conversations in 5 languages. He's not fluent in all of them, but he can get by. He grew up in India, and I suppose that helps, for learning languages, though now he lives over here.
Right. What else? Has he been to university, for instance?
Yes, he graduated in media studies, though he says he's never worked in the media.
OK. And when he's not off on expeditions to remote places, what does he like doing in his spare time?
He seems to do all sorts of things. One thing he told me, which could be useful, is that he likes fishing.
Yes, we'd better tell him to bring his fishing rod. That is, if we choose him.
And he seems to spend a lot of time at the gym. He says he really likes to keep fit. And when you meet him, you'll believe it's true.
Great. Another fitness fanatic like you. Well, sounds like I should meet him, doesn't it? When can you fix that up?
Unit 2, Track 6.
Can I have your second name, please?
Sure, it's Williams. That's W-A-L-L-I-A-M-S.
Where do you live?
37 Beach Street, Wokingham. Beach is B-E-E-C-H.
When were you born?
On the 5th of April, 1984.
Do you have a contact number?
Sure. It's 0529 865 2411.
What's your job?
I'm a shop manager.
How far do you travel from your house to your place of work?
12 kilometres.
How do you get there?
I usually take the bus.
Have you got any hobbies or interests?
Oh yes, I like cooking, cycling and travel.
Unit 2, Track 7.
Hello, Eddie. It's Bridget.
Oh, hi, Bridget.
Listen, Eddie, are you still free to do an article for the college magazine?
Sure.
Is there anything in particular you'd like me to write about?
Well, the next issue is about people's lives. You know, people who have done something interesting or exciting. Anyway, I've got someone lined up, and I was wondering if you could interview them and then write the article.
All right, that's fine with me.
Great. Have you got a pen?
Yes.
Okay, take this down. His name is Tom Coogan.
Tom...
Coogan. That's C-O-O-G-A-N. Got that?
Sure. And what does he do?
He's a travel writer.
I don't think I've heard of him. What else can you tell me about him? How old is he? What's he written? That sort of thing.
Okay, he's 42 years old, and he's written 10 or 12 books. Let me just check that. 12 books, including his latest. Oh, and he also presents a travel program on TV.
All right.
Now, his latest book is about a journey he made across the Gobi Desert on horseback. It took him 6 months, apparently. Anyway, I think he'd like to talk about that, so make sure you ask lots of questions.
Fine. I'd better look at a copy. What's it called?
It's called Has Anyone Seen My Horse? I've got a copy here which I can lend you.
Okay. And why does he want to talk about that book in particular?
It's just won him an award.
Really? What kind?
Travel Book of the Year.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive.
Exactly. So, like I say, ask lots of questions about it. Now, I've arranged for you to meet him on the 21st of October. That's 2 weeks on Friday. Is that okay?
It should be. Have you got a time for that?
Not yet. He wants you to call him beforehand to arrange that. I'll give you his contact number. It's 0722... No, hang on. It's 0772 921 4490.
0772 921 4490. And where am I supposed to meet him?
He's suggested his place, which is good as it's not far from the college. It's 138 Lonsdale Avenue, Summertown. Lonsdale is Lonsdale.
Yeah, I think I know where Lonsdale Avenue is. You did say 138, didn't you?
Right. Oh, and I suggest that you take a look at his website as well. It's got loads of information, so you might want to ask him about some of his other trips. It's at www.tomcooganbooks.com.
All right. Thanks for that. I'll let you know how I get on.
Great. Thanks, Eddie. Good luck.